What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So the Ring 4 card goes down this Saturday. It's an extremely stacked event. We got David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde, Devin Haney versus Brian Norman Jr., Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes, and Bam Rodriguez versus Puma Martinez. And I wanted to go through my breakdowns and predictions of all four of these fights, just talk about the card in general. But before we get into the video, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I think we're super close to 1,000 subscribers, so that's great, but make sure you subscribe. But let's get into the video. So just the card in general, I think is phenomenal, right? This is what we want to see out of these Saudi cards, these Turkey ring cards, is stacked from top to bottom, and I think that's exactly what we're getting here, right? Four amazing fights. All four of these fights are world titles. Beterbiev was supposed to be on the card. There's a rumor that Anthony Joshua was going to be a surprise fight on the card. Like, this is a truly phenomenal card, and you've got multiple pound-for-pound guys, right? Bam's on the pound-for-pound list. Benavidez, the winner of Haney Norman, could be on the pound-for-pound list. So I think this is truly a top three card of the year. But I kind of wanted to go into my breakdowns and predictions of each fight. So I'll go in bottom to top order. So I'll start with Bam Rodriguez and Puma Martinez. And I think this is a very underrated fight. The fact that it's 4 fights down, right? Bam, he's been a champion at 112 pounds. Now he's a champion at 115 pounds. Puma, undefeated champion also at junior bantamweight. I think this is a very high level fight. Now Bam, he's coming off that very dominant performance to unify against Puma Lele Cafu. Right, Cafu had beaten Tanaka. He was a pretty good fighter himself, and Bam looked really good in this fight. Right, the angles, using that straight left hand. He didn't have much resistance, or really didn't put himself in a lot of trouble against Cafu. And this was a very impressive showing. One of Bam's, Bam has a lot of impressive showings. Rung Visai, Estrada, you name it. Sonny was a good performance. Quadris, but I think this was arguably his best performance to date. And now he's facing a guy in Puma who's, I think, a little bit more of a challenge than Cafu, right? Puma just beat Kazuto Ioka twice. The first one was more dominant than the second one. It was like a 8-4, 9-3, and then the second one was a little bit closer. But Puma will definitely be a tough test. Now, the way I see this fight going, I think Bam will work the angles from start to finish, right? He'll try to get that foot positioning, go on the outside, land that left hand, get on the inside, land those uppercuts, the right hook. And Puma, he's more of a I'll stay in front of you and I'll try to exchange type of guy, right? That's how he beat Ioka twice. I just don't think that style can work against Bam. Estrada tried to stay in front of him, right? An orthodox fighter who's actually pretty defensively sound, and the body shots wore him down. The left hands, Estrada had a bit of success too with the straight right hand, and I'm sure Puma can land some right hands as well. But over the course of the fight, I do expect Bam to really pour the volume on Puma, land the better shots, be a lot more defensively sharp, and I could see a late stoppage for Bam. But Puma's also a very tough guy, right? He's durable. He's willing to throw it out in the center because he trusts himself, his chin, and his power. So I'm not as confident in a Bam stoppage compared to... I know he stopped Estrada. He stopped a lot of the recent guys he's fought, Cafu. But I'm going to go Bam Rodriguez by decision in this one, just based on the fact that I think Puma can hang in there. But I'd go Bam 9-3-ish around. I think he puts on a very good performance. Right now he's number 6 pound for pound. I have him number 5 over Beterbiev, but with the win here, I do think he put himself over Beterbiev top 5. Next fight, we got Abdullah Mason and Sam Noakes. And this is for the title that Keyshawn Davis lost. WBO title at lightweight. Now, neither of these guys are the most proven, right? They're fighting for a vacant belt, but sometimes when guys fight for a vacant belt, they're maybe a little bit more established. They've gone through so many title eliminator fights and stuff like that. I'm not sure Mason or Noakes are as proven, right? Mason, we know he has phenomenal potential, only 21 years old, looked good against Nakatila in his last fight. He's crafty, he's got good footwork, good counterpunching. Noakes, I'll be honest, I haven't seen much of him, but from the footage I saw, he's got a decent right hand. He'll put the pressure. He's probably a little bit more physically built than Abdullah Mason, so that'll be, I'm sure, a large part of his game plan is the pressure. But I'm not too impressed by either guy's competition as of right now, and that's nothing against Mason because he's young, but like if you look at let's look at Sam Noakes' record, right? Patrick Balaz, I have no idea who that is. Walsh, not really familiar with him. I had to do some research. Mendy, I think, fought a couple top-level championship guys. But realistically, none of these are like truly title eliminator level fights, right? He won a European lightweight title and a British Commonwealth title, and etc. But these are not like top 10 lightweights. And that's kind of my issue with Sam Noakes and Abdullah Mason, right? Nakatila might be a more proven opponent for Mason. But how do I see this fight going? I think Noakes will try to test the young kid in Mason, right? We've seen Mason get dropped twice against, I forgot the guy's name with the cut on the back of his head, but right, he got dropped twice in that fight. Noakes will try to hammer those right hands on Mason and get him put him in these uncomfortable scenarios, push him back up against the ropes. But I think Mason is just a little too crafty for Noakes. I know he's only 21, but I think he's got great footwork, right? He's able to move on the outside. He's able to, pick his counters really well, especially that overhand left, right? He's able to, pull counter with the left hand or just throw the left hand down the pipe. He's got good uppercuts, good check hook. I think he has a lot more variation in his game than Sam Noakes. And his cardio hasn't been fully tested, Mason's. But I'm actually curious to see if Noakes has gone a full 12. Okay, he has twice. He's gone 12 rounds twice. I think that's more than Abdullah for sure. So the cardio could be a bit of an issue for Mason, but I really think there's a decent skill gap in this fight. To me, Mason's just a lot more skilled in general. Footwork, shot selection, his accuracy, his timing. I'm going to go Abdullah Mason to become the youngest champion in boxing. I could see him stopping Noakes late if he can really pour it on him with the left hand. Noakes, he really didn't impress me. The footage I saw, like, you can tell he's that pressure type of guy, but he's not as technical as Mason. I could maybe see a late stoppage. So I'm going to go Abdullah Mason by a 10th round TKO. It'll be hard to get, a tough guy like Noakes out of there, but I think that the skill gap makes up for it. So I'm going to go Abdullah Mason by a 10th round TKO, and I probably will be like a barrage of left hands or left hand right hooks, something like that. But moving up to the co-main event, I think most people's favorite fight on this card, Devin Haney versus Brian Norman Jr. for the WBO welterweight title. Now, this really could go either way, and whichever way it goes, it probably will be dominantly. Haney, we know what Haney brings, right? It's going to be jabbing on the outside. He's going to be throwing that 1-2, the right hand to the body. Whereas Norman, he's more of that mid-range power puncher, right? He likes to sit down on his shots, time that left hook, the right hand left hook. He can push you back and then measure you for an uppercut left hook, right? He's more of that mid-range power puncher. And I got to be honest, I've been thoroughly enjoying the build-up. Like, breakdown aside, I've been really enjoying the build-up for this fight. I think Haney, obviously, him and his dad talks a little bit more for him. But Haney obviously seems confident in his skills. He's a good kid, right? He chases the legacy. But I wasn't as familiar with how well Norman could talk, right? I've watched his fights with Santiana and Sasaki. There wasn't much trash talk there, especially going to Japan. You're not going to trash talk the guy. But I wanted there was like a clip, yeah, where in the face-off where Norman was calling out Haney for using for talking like Floyd, and I saw a clip with Showbiz, shout out Showbiz, where Norman is like, Sasaki was copying every move I had. I had him from the day before the fight. I'd put my hand up, Sasaki would put his hand up. I'd put my hand out, Sasaki would put his hand out. So when I jabbed at the body, Sasaki jabbed at the body, and that's all she wrote. Norman can really build the fight, sell the fight. I was surprised by the way he talks. I think is really entertaining to see in these build-ups. But if we're talking the fight itself, I've been pretty impressed by Norman his last two fights. Obviously, the last one was the knockout of the year against Sasaki, that beautiful left hook. And that's not to say Sasaki is like the highest level contender, but the Santian fight, Santian was the favorite. I thought Santian would win against Norman, right? I wasn't as familiar with Norman before the Santian fight. I thought Santian was going to win that. It was I think his hometown. He was built to be like fighting for the title next. And Norman broke him down. Body shots, uppercuts, inside work, just bloodied him up and knocked him out. I really like Norman's inside game. I think he's very versatile with the shots he picks. He anticipates shots better than people give him credit for. He's a little bit flat-footed at times. His footwork isn't as good as Haney's, but I think he makes up for it in size and the way he lands those stunning shots. And then you look at Haney, his last two performances haven't been as impressive, right? You go back to Garcia. I picked Haney by stoppage, which in hindsight is probably a terrible prediction, but I was like, oh my God, Ryan's an alcoholic. He has no chance. Haney looks super focused, looked phenomenal against Prograis, and Haney struggled to keep the distance against Ryan Garcia, who also isn't as good footwork-wise, right? Like Norman. Got caught with the left hook in the first round, then got dropped 3 times later on that fight, kept getting hit with big shots. I was surprised by Haney's inability to stay on the outside. When you're known for your jab, when that's your best weapon, how are you getting caught by the left hook over and over and over again? I was really disappointed with Haney in that performance. And then you go to the Jose Ramirez fight, right? I want to say it was like a 144 catch weight, 145 catch weight. But Ramirez really a 140-pounder. He was coming off the loss to Barboza. I thought Haney would look a little bit better. I don't think Haney looked bad in that fight, but Haney was, I think, a little too gun-shy. The first 5 rounds, it looked like he had PTSD from the left hook, just circling on the ropes, barely throwing anything. The next 5, 6, 7 rounds, 6, 7, he was throwing the jab a little bit more. He was willing to counter with that right hand a little bit more, but I was not as convinced that Haney's still not suffering from PTSD from the left hook. And that's my concern with Haney. And now he's going up for his first true fight at welterweight. He's going up against the biggest power puncher, the strongest guy, the biggest guy he's ever fought. I think there's more question marks about Haney in this fight than Norman. Norman hasn't fought a great boxer yet, right? And we can pull up the Randall fight. He didn't look great, but if you're comparing the recent performances, Haney and Norman, I think Haney has a lot more questions. I also think that the physicality of Norman, if I'm being honest, will allow him to push Haney back. I think Haney keeps himself back on the ropes, and I don't think Haney should be on the ropes in this fight. Not against a power puncher who thrives breaking you to the body and mixing up combinations to the head. I think Haney still bow and arrows his jabs at times. I think there's too many openings, if I'm being honest. So I got Brian Norman Jr. by an 8th round knockout. I wouldn't be shocked if I'm wrong on that one. I think Haney could cruise to a dominant decision, but the Ryan Garcia fight gives me a lot of concerns. I like Norman to stop Haney and really make a name for himself in this fight. But moving on to the last one, the main event, David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde for the WBC light heavyweight title. Now, Yarde, he's a very tough, proven challenger, right? He fought Kovalev right before Canelo fought Kovalev. That was a much harder fight than I anticipated for Kovalev. He fought Beterbiev 2023 January, I want to say. Yeah, 2023 January. Might have been 2024 January. Something like that. He fought him January about 2 years ago. And He was probably up on points before the stoppage. Yard's a tough guy. Right, he can land those right hands, those left hooks. He'll stay there with that high guard against the rope sometimes and let you throw, and then he'll throw back. Right, he's going to give Benavidez a tough fight. And then David, we know what he's going to bring, right? Continuous pressure, high volume, high pace. We saw the Morrell fight, right? Maybe not as much volume as before, but still a stalking Morrell down, peeling the guard, digging to the body, the uppercuts, the right hands. We've seen the Plant fight, the Vosdick fight, the Andrade fight. I think was his best performance of the last couple of years. Benavidez is going to try to meet fire with fire. Well, Yard's going to try to meet fire with fire, but Benavidez is going to be more on the front foot in this fight. And Yard can go toe-to-toe with Benavidez for half of the fight, like he did with Beterbiev, like he did with Kovalev, but to me, Yard is a notorious gasser. Worse cardio than Caleb Plant, honestly. He will always slow down. He will give it his all for 7 rounds, and then he'll gas out. And against a guy with such a high pace like Benavidez, and if you don't have 12-round cardio, I don't think you're going to survive the later rounds. I just can't trust Yard and his team, Tunde, to make those adjustments at this late in his career. I think Benavidez is gonna maul him the longer the fight goes. I think he's gonna really dig to the body, wear him out. And I think Benavidez gets his first stoppage at light heavyweight, right? You didn't stop Vosdick. You didn't stop Morrell. I think Yard is tough, but doesn't have the pace to compete with Benavidez in the later rounds. So I have David Benavidez by a 7th or 8th round TKO. I think the first couple of rounds might be a little bit competitive. It'll be like 4-2, 5-1 maybe. And then I think Benavidez gets to him in the somewhere in the second half of the fight. I'd be really surprised if Benavidez doesn't stop him. I'd be a little bit disappointed. Especially if you want the winner of Bivol Beterbiev 3. I assume that happens. Benavidez needs a stoppage here. He needs to show that his power can carry to 175 like it was at 168. He needs to show that he can carry that same high volume in the later rounds like he was at 168. Because I thought he didn't look as good in the last 3 rounds of the Morrell fight. He needs to answer. He needs to put a statement performance in and show that he's ready for the undisputed title shot at 175. And I think he will. I think he will have his best win at 170, his best performance at 175 to date. But yeah, those are kind of my predictions for the card. To recap it, I got Bam, I got Abdullah Mason, I got Brian Norman, and I got David Benavidez. But you guys let me know your picks for this card. Stay tuned for more videos coming out this week and next week. I got an interview with an undisputed boxing champion coming out tomorrow. I got more tier list videos. I'll do a recap after this card. So stay tuned for more videos. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, road to 1,000. But I'll catch you guys in the next one.